reason that I wrote the book, 7 Steps to Raising Amazing Children, is because I wanted to make a difference in parents' lives for the rest of their life. And I don't just want them to buy the book, Dr. Howe. I want them to read the book and invest in the steps that's in the book. It'll change their lives. So I totally get what you said.
I can look back, and I'm going to put a shout out to your book, too, because when I read your book, I was like, Lord have mercy, if I had Charles' book 20, 30 years ago, I would have done some things totally different, okay? Totally different. So everybody go out, buy his book, and get your tissue, get a box of tissue. I tell you.
When you give a child advice, that advice is behind your behavior. And they can't see your advice because they are so paying attention to your behavior. So if you're not modeling the right behavior, don't expect the advice to be heard or carried out. Well, hello, my friends. I'm Charles Smith, your host of the Amazing Happy Village, where we believe your children are amazing, they deserve to be happy, and it requires a village to help them to succeed. So we're going to sow into you so that you can sow into your children so that they will be able to soar in the world. Today is a very special day for me. You know, Father's Day was yesterday. So I have for you today.
Hey, Dad.
Hey.
Hold on, let me get my name up. I'm interrupting your show early.
I see. Hi,
villagers. I'm going to take over, Dad, for the beginning of the show. This is our Father's Day special. So, you know, we love you've done a lot. And I'm nervous, but hey, we're here. I got my sisters here. And so, Dad, this is how it's going to go. We're going to introduce ourselves each to the villagers, and then we're going to tell them one thing that you did while we were growing up, or some type of advice, a piece of advice that you gave us while growing up and how it still affects us today. Is that okay?
Okay, so I'm not the host.
Not for right now. Now, I'll give it back to you, but I don't, I want to brag on you. We want to brag on you and let people know why we think that you are an amazing leader and why people should follow the Amazing Happy Village, because you created that first in your own home. Ready?
Awesome. I'm ready. I'm so ready.
So I'm the favorite. I'm Chara. Yes, 4 daughters. It's the reason why I went first. And if they get up here and they start saying that they're the favorite, I want you to take a look at the names. You got Charles Smith and you got Chara and Charles. So the proof is in the pudding. And I'm the CEO of Chara Story Inc., an inner beauty brand that's introducing the inner beauty entity into this world, as well as I'm the CEO of Dream Chara Productions, and we produce the Amazing Happy Village. So I'm excited about that, honored to do that. And the piece of advice that you gave me, I don't know if you remember this. I got baptized when I think I was in the 4th grade. That was a Sunday. And then Monday, I had my Bible and I was headed to school. Do you remember this? And you said, Chara, what are you doing with your Bible? You can't take your Bible to school. I was like, Daddy, I have to. I'm telling everybody I got baptized. So I got to tell everybody about Jesus. And you said, well, I'm gonna help you out. You never have to have something in your hand to show Jesus. They should see Jesus in how you treat people. They should see Jesus in how you live. They should see Jesus in your lifestyle. You never have to say his name if they see him in your lifestyle. And let me tell you, it's so interesting how that stuck with me as a 4th grader. I never forgot it. And I was at a meeting the other day. I'm developing this curriculum for a particular school district that's going to automatically go in. And I was giving the curriculum over and they started looking at it. And the lady was a believer. And she said, this is amazing. This is like biblical principles made practical, headed into the school system. How did you do this? What came to your mind? I said, in the 4th grade, my daddy taught me that I don't have to mention his name. I can just show who he is, Christ's character, the fruits of the spirit. So I live by that to this day. Live. So Dad, I love you. And I'm gonna bring up the next sister.
Awesome.
Hey, Dad.
Hey.
I'm the favorite. I'm the baby. They always call me spoiled, but I saw something on Facebook the other day, and it said that my siblings need to stop calling me spoiled. The reality is y'all kept having children and stopped when you found one you liked. So I'm the one you liked. I'm the baby. I'm Amber Palmer. I am an educational diagnostician. I work with special education students, and I do cognitive and achievement assessments. And Dad, there's so much that you taught me that I live by. And let's see, how can I choose just one? Okay, the first thing I think, and I can't remember if I put this in my letter in your book. I think I did. But it is, you used to say, follow me as I follow Christ, and until you know Christ, and then others will follow you as you follow Christ. And so at a young age, it was just, I guess, it hit me that, oh, okay, I can follow that. But wait, I got to know Christ for myself. And there was a period of time in my youth when I was like, oh, okay, this is what Dad was talking about. I'll follow him as he follows Christ. And then I get to know Christ for myself. And then I can be the leader that you are. And I can be the leader and others follow me as I follow Christ. And so even with my kids today, I try to instill that in them by following those 7 steps so my kids can be amazing. Okay, so there's a couple more things though that you taught me. The other one was never take no for an answer. And I remember applying for the International Baccalaureate, the IB program at Jim Hill, and I really wanted to get in. And I was in APAC at the time in middle school, and I wanted to get in the IB program. And apparently they said that they weren't taking any more applications, and it was closed. They were done. So I was hurt because we had all these people at church that were in the IB program, and I looked up to them, and I wanted to be in this program. And all of a sudden, I got picked up from middle school early. And I was like, why am I getting picked up early? And he said, you're going to Jim Hill. You're going to take the test to get in the IB program. And I was like, but it's closed. Like they said, they're not taking any more applications. And he said, never take no for an answer. I called them, and I got you, a time slot for you to take the test. I think I had to write an essay or something to get in. So lived by that too. Never take no for an answer. If that was something I want, then I was going to try to get it. And you used to always say, either they can say yes or no. You never not ask. You never not try to do what what your heart is set on and what you want to do. Okay. And then the last one, what was the last one? The last one is that children spell love Time. And so that was evident with you, teaching me how to ride my bike and we had a song to tie my shoe. I don't remember the song, but I did make up a song to teach my little one how to tie his shoe. And just little, like the Jackson State games, going to the fair, went to the fair every year, Super Bowl, making Super Bowl such a big party, just the family, inviting a friend. So that's a big one for me. Children spell love Time, especially being a parent now. I really hold on to that one. So I, the favorite, am signing off, and I am going to live.
I did that on purpose, Dad. Oh, it's me. Hey, Daddy.
Hey, darling.
So I am Zatanya. I am the oldest. And so just ignore all of my siblings. Oh my gosh. I was, definitely the favorite. I created the mole. So everything after me is just practice, right? So there are tons of lessons that you have taught me over the years. I'll, being the oldest, I don't even know if you remember this, but it was one day, my sisters, I forget even which sister it was, had asked me for something, and it was like, "Can I have this?" And my answer was immediately like, "No, absolutely not." And you overheard me, talking bad to my siblings, and you looked at me and was like, It's like, now, Zatanya, if your friend had asked you for that, would you have said no? And I thought about it. I was like, no, I would have gave it to a friend. And then you're like, well, why would you ever treat your friend better than you treat your family? I was like, well, that was pretty deep. I was like, that's a good one. And from now on, it made me a really good big sister, because I saw things through that lens. When they would ask me for something or they would come for me, I would be like, now, if this was a friend, how would I respond to my friend? And why wouldn't I respond to my family, even better than I treat my friends? So that was pretty deep, in a sense that, it really framed how I interacted with my sisters. They were younger, much younger, and it was a lot of them. So, I didn't appreciate it at the time, but understand, like, they are, it's 3 of them, and they were all under 4. So I didn't appreciate your struggle until I had kids and realized how hard that was. So, at the time I might have been a little resentful. So many kids. I went from an only child to having 4 of us within 4 years. So that was a adjustment. So, but that little tidbit in life just kind of changed my perspective of how I treated not, my family, my friends, and just, making sure that you treat your family right. Other things, of course, never making excuses. The thing I heard the most was, the dog ate it. What does that mean? That was his way of saying, anytime you tried to make an excuse, he'd be like, the dog ate it. And you'd be like, well, the dog ate it. You're like, well, any excuse would do, it doesn't matter with this. You find time to do what you need to do, or find time to do what you want to do. So the dog ate it is just kind of resonating in my head every time I try to make excuses for not getting stuff done. And I'll tell my kids all the time, the dog ate it. Don't make excuses. So those are kind of 2 tidbits that I really live by. I'm an amazing big sister because of that. And and I don't make excuses. So
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, goodness. That is awesome.
What's up?
Hey, Chara.
Listen, the better question is, what have I taught you?
No, she's not drinking
Coffee man. Look, I think for me, Amber totally stole my tidbit. I just joined, so I was only backstage for a minute, so I was running late, but I know I was making a producer really nervous back there, so sorry about that. But I will say, trying to think of another, what Daddy taught me and what I live by today would be more so, I have to say, I'm still gonna use what Amber said, and then I'm gonna use another one when I can think of it. I can't remember I had it, but it was, never tell yourselves no. Never tell yourself no. When I did not get into my school, my number 1 school of choice, UAB, I applied to. I didn't apply because I didn't get into UAB. So I told you I was going to take a year off. Now that's a thing now. What do they call it? A sabbatical or something like that. I was going to take a year off. But you said why and what are you going to do? Basically, I think you wanted me out of the house. And so I told you UAB did not accept me, and I don't feel like hearing another rejection. I'm just going to study on this off year and work on myself. And you said, well, then you're telling yourself no. I'm like, no, I am telling myself the realistic view. and that is I may need to improve on my score. And so you said you shouldn't tell yourself no, sweetheart. Go apply to several schools. I applied to several more and got in on all of them. Until this day, Daddy, I teach college bound with Spirit of God Church in Alpharetta. We do it virtual, and that is the number one lesson I tell the students every Saturday we meet. Do not tell yourselves no. If you don't apply to the scholarship, you're saying no. If you don't study for the SAT, ACT, you're not giving yourselves a chance. You're telling yourself no. So poor Braxton and Blakely, when we get of age, they're gonna have a hard time. And I think the second one was more so whatever you do behind closed doors. Like I was the challenger. You see my little title. I don't know who put that up there. But yes, I was the challenger. I was that child, right? And I didn't care what mom and dad thought. But you flipped it on me, and I think you talked about it in the book. What does Christ think? What will Jesus see? You don't have to please me, but please the one who loves you the most. And I think that stuck with me. So even after you were long gone from like my disciplinary days where I could make my own decisions, that was my conviction. And then some days I just ended up at the altar on Sunday. It's okay, but it never left me. So happy Father's Day. I love you. And I appreciate you allowing me to help you write that book.
I appreciate the pace of my sisters, and I made sure I told them to give one advice. I know everybody gave more than one, so I got two. I got another one, okay, and then I'm gonna bring them back up. So also, I remember how you taught me as a young child that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it. And in the hardest season of my life, what kept me is that advice. Is Chara, how are you reacting to this? It's not about what has happened. It's how you reacting to it. And then boom, wrote a book. That's because of your lesson. So I want to say thank you for that. And I'm bringing everybody back, Daddy. We saying happy Father's Day to you.
But that was, well, there they are, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us, these are my heartbeats along with my wife, Chara are twins, if you hadn't figured that one out. And Zatanya is the oldest, and Amber is the baby. And so if you just join us, these are the reason there's a 7 steps to raising amazing children. And let me just say this, and I have some questions that I want to know, because these are the ones who have given me 7 grandchildren, 5 boys and 2 girls. But just a quick little story about Amber. I started calling her D-Am, like T-H-E, Amber. And I was in the store with her mother one day. And again, at the house, hey, D-Am, D-Am. Not Amber, just Am for short. And
that sounds like
store, and I was hollering, "Hey, DM, DM, where are you? DM, we're ready to go." And her mom was telling me, "No, don't say that." I said, "Well, why? I'm trying to find her. Do you know what that sound like?" What? I didn't realize what it sound like. So now I just call her D rather than D-Am. So that's just a quick little story. Her mama always would keep me straight when I would go off on a like that, because I was slow to pick that up. I was real slow to pick that up.
Shout out to Mom. Hi, Mom.
Yes, indeed. Well, listen, these are the ladies that have helped to shape who I am, because I have learned so much for them. And so, first of all, guys, I want to say thank you. And I remember each one of those situations, because they were big in my life. And it was a part of me just trying to be intentional about what was to come later on in your life, right? And so I just want to share with the audience before I get into some of my questions. And this is what you can get from this. Nike has a brand, right? Adidas has a brand, all right? And all these other places, they have a brand, right? Well, each family should have a brand. You know, back in the day when they had animals, I think they still do it today, but they would actually take a hot iron or steel and brand their animal. So if they got out of the pasture, then the other owners would know who that animal was or who that animal belonged to. Well, when your child leaves the house, they ought to be branded. There's a brand that's in the Smith household when you're growing up. And one of the things that I used to say was, and tell me if you all remember this, there are two types of people in this world. There are
leaders and followers.
This household leaders, right? That was branding my children so that they could go out. So everybody ought to have a brand. Okay, even if it's just something that you want them to leave with and never forget, because they're going to pass it on to some of the most special people you'll ever know. And those are your grands to come if you don't have any grands right now. Okay. And there is another thing, and all of them they remember something that I said about Christ. So that's just obviously you can't go anywhere, you can't do any teaching without introducing Christ to them. So there's another saying that I had that was in the house, and tell me if you remember this. Proverbs 4, 5, and 6, right? Trust in the Lord with all your heart, on your own understanding. They're leaning because that's the song that we use. And lean not on your own understanding, because He will make your path right. So those are the things that you want your children to lead with. Something that they can identify themselves. So it was a blessing to me, and we didn't practice this because I didn't know what they were going to say. But it's so important to listen to them when they're small, because when they grow up, you will know whether they receive something that's important, that is shaping their life. So what I want to do, guys, for the audience today, I know you shared something with me that you remember. I want to share something with you that I remember, and I want you to expand on, tell me how it has affected your life, okay? Just a little incident, because life will happen. But one of the things that I always wanted, like I heard, don't take no for an answer. Well, my thing was don't give up. And you're raising your children for success, right? So Tanya, not giving up. I want to use something that was, do you remember when you had a substitute teacher and all teachers, I mean, there are some great teachers, guys, but if you're not the first teacher and you're not understanding what should be said and done, then you may be missing the boat. Like for an instance, I'm going to get back to Tan in just a second. But two types of people in this world. Are you passing that on to your child, Chara? Can she hear me?
I can. What was the question?
I texted that. I'm sorry.
Chara texted me, Daddy. Chara texted me. So,
okay. So,
am I passing on to them?
Two types of people in this
The
world.
leader of the follower.
Leader and the follower.
Oh yeah.
Well, Daddy, listen, my son is 4, and when I told him that you are the leader and not the follower, he came home one day. Remember I told you this story? And he started crying. And I was like, why are you crying? He said, because Mommy, you told me to be a leader. But Miss such and such said today I have to be the follower, and I couldn't be the leader of the line. And so he was crying hysterically because he had to take turns to not be the leader.
but his mom instilled in him every day before drop off that you are a leader.
Right.
And so his 4-year-old mind could not comprehend, why are you putting me in the back of the line? What my mom said. And all I said was, you still the leader, but sometimes you can you can still lead from behind. You can still be the leader at the back of the line. You can still be an influencer, because you can tell the other kids that are crying when they want to do it, hey, let them have their turn. I mean, I don't know if it registered to him or not, but at what age did you start telling us this? Because I was really confused on how to answer that.
Birth.
Yeah, from birth. But and the key is it causes a conversation, and then you can explain, because as they grow older, they'll grow into it, right? So a good example is Tan. You remember the subject, back to Tan, the substitute teacher, and you were so angry at that teacher because she used your paper. You were one of the smartest kids in the room, and you turned your paper in and the teacher gave it back to you, right? So what did she do with the paper?
So I was the first one to finish the test, right? I turned it in. She looked over the paper and was like, something I did was incorrect. She stopped the whole class and said, hey, just FYI, if you're working on this, don't forget XYZ. I was like, oh, wow. And I'm like, can I get my paper back so I can make that corrections? Because you have then told everybody now to make that correction before they turn in their test. And she's like, oh, no, you've already turned it in. I was so hot. So you're going to use me as an example for a correction that everybody else gets to then fix. And I now have a wrong answer. I was,
Right.
So, Dad heard all of it because, I went. So go ahead.
Straight to the house in tears, saying how unprofessional she was. And I said, well, Tan, she's a substitute teacher now, and she may be good one day. And you said, no, Dad, she will never be any good. But I remember saying to you, are you going to allow what someone say to you? Because you were like, I'm not going to even try anymore. I'm just done. I'm not going to try and pass that class. And my answer to you was, are you going to allow someone, again, I said, maybe a good teacher one day, but having to learn, keep you from always doing your very best, right? Now, fast forward, you remember when you loaned your car out and you had an accident?
Bringing up everything.
You know, some hard lessons.
I know, right? These were some hard lessons, but I told and you called me. I remember where I was, and this is the fruit of the spirit, Chara, that you mentioned. Like I always try to demonstrate the love, the joy, the peace, the patience, and the kindness. And that's just 5 of them right there, okay? But I remember her calling me. She had loaned somebody her car.
Messed it up for all of us.
And she called me, telling me about the accident. And my first question was,
Daddy, you gotta tell them she loaned a car. Her friend totaled her car.
Totaled my car.
Yeah, totaled her car. Totaled her car. But her friend was supposed to go to the post office right around the block, but she ended up 100 miles in
another state.
So my point is, when Tan called me, it was already an accident, right? Wasn't any sense in jumping on it. Now, this is because this is what they passed. She has so much patience now with her children. But when you start doing things early, you show love and patience and peace. It carries on. And I remember when she called, she was hysterical. I said, "Are you hurt?" "No, I'm not hurt. I wasn't in it." And so-and-so was in the car. I said, "Well, is she hurt?" "I don't know. I can't my car told." That's all you cared about, right? And I said, "Well, let's make sure she's okay." Because first of all, the car was totaled. I mean, nothing else you can do with that. Well, at that time, but it was an accident already had happened. So what am I supposed to say? I told you not to leave? No, it had already happened. So fast forward to that, never giving up and handling things with kindness and joy and love, because you can always find the positive in whatever it is. Like Chara said, it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens. So if you're listening, you gotta always know what to say, or just don't go in on your child after something like this happens. Okay. So fast forward, then you went on to shadow a CEO, I think in Birmingham, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
From there, you went on to an internship in Newark, New Jersey, right?
Yep.
Because you never gave up and you kept going. So
Yeah.
the lessons that you learn at home, parents, can continue to follow you for the rest of your life. So it's important that we instill, encourage,
Yeah.
love, peace, patience, all of these things.
And
Yeah.
you know that I remember too. That I remember too when I called you about the accident too, because I think too that's really big for a parent, a child to be able to be comfortable calling their parent after something that big happens, and there was not a fear of retribution. I mean, I literally let my friend borrow a car and just totaled my car. Now I live with the consequences of that.
We
Without
all lived with the consequences.
But the thing though, when your first question was, "Is she all right?" That that was a moment, because I really didn't know, and I was,
You didn't care.
but it was like, okay, his calm reaction and the way he worked through the process was another building moment, and for a child to be able to be comfortable calling their parent after something big happens like that without fear of retribution, I think is really key. And it's a lesson that I want to instill upon my kids as well. I want them to be able to share things with me and be open and not be afraid that I'm going to, jump down their throat, especially when things are not necessarily their fault. Just being, kind, thinking she needs to go to the post office, and 100 miles later, she's in a car in Chicago. It's like, okay. So, but that was big. But yeah, that first, like, is she okay? Okay, that's probably what I should have said, And I did call her and ask, was she okay? And,
B, you better bring my car back.
So again, this is you're listening to my 4 favorite daughters, right? That is
you said your favorite. You was listening to me. Your favorite.
4 favorites. Now, Tara, you like to think of yourself as the challenger, right? I've never said that. Chara, do you remember how you would always challenge the rude? Like, even
Chara or Tara? Who are you talking to?
Chara. I'm talking to Tara.
I never, Daddy. This is my favorite. I never challenged you.
I mean, he just said Chara. I was like, Chara.
I know. Like,
Chara. Daddy, Chara used to ask you, could she write love letters to her boyfriend?
I know. Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. If you read the book, then you know which one I'm talking about, right? So, again, Tara, you remember how, and it was legit, but if I said you couldn't say shut up to your siblings, right? And you actually wrote a letter explaining how you think things should be. And I mean, this is a child. I found that letter years later. I still have it, by the way. And if the word was shut up, and again, parents, I'm not saying not to allow your children to say shut up. I'm just talking about my household. When my girls was growing up, the word was harsh to me. So I would say, don't say that. And then Chara would come in, Daddy.
Tara
told me to shut up. And then I would talk to her about it. And you would say, well, shut up is not a bad word, Dad. So it was legit, not my point. But parents, we are branding our children or how we want them to be talked to and how they receive conversation. Okay. So I want to fast forward, Tara, to a situation where you may have challenged it, but you receive the fact that you wouldn't accept the way people talk to you any kind of way. Remember when you was in Nashville and you had this job, and this lady had her boss was coming in, Tara, and she had you out doing some things, right? And she wanted you were getting the job done, but she was nervous. So she came to you and she was talking to you and you wasn't paying attention to her because you were doing what you were doing. What did she say to you?
Look at me. Look at me. Turn around and look at me. I said, oh, wait a minute. I'm grown and I'm doing what she's asking me to do on a computer. And she's like, do you have it? I'm like, I got it. And I didn't turn around. And she's like, look at me when I'm talking to you.
Right. Now,
yeah, I don't think that step was in your book, the way I responded to her.
No, I didn't put that in the book because you were. But here's my point. I didn't talk to you any kind of way.
Right.
I didn't allow the siblings to talk to you any kind of way. This is what I'm talking about as being branded. And I remember we had relocated to Nashville. You came to my office that Saturday because as soon as she did that to you, you started looking for a way out.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because one of the things that we've taught was that our aim is solid and our focus is deep. Mm-hmm. So now you're looking for a way to go higher and to do more. So you went on there and people have started to require about your resume, and they want to hire
inquire
you.
About my resume. Right. I think like that same week I got another job.
Yes.
And her response was, this is because of me, isn't it? When I submitted my resignation, her response was, you're leaving because of me, aren't you?
And what'd she say?
I don't remember. Probably something ungodly. But
because you asked me what should you say, and I told you not. But here's what I'm getting with that. You came to my office and you said, Dad, I'm getting kind of nervous because people are responding and they want me to come to Atlanta. But do you think I'm moving too fast? Mm-hmm. I said,
and Daddy said, look at me. Look at me. And I was like, signed, I'm out.
Oh my God.
Perfect. That's exactly because
oh my God, I forgot all about that.
Oh no, it was pivotal to me because the way we talked to you when you were young is the way you wanted to be talked to when
Dad.
you were older. And that will never leave you. So parents, what I'm saying, these are brand. Your children, your family, they're branded. They're really representing you. So if you're hollering at them, that means they're going to accept it.
Come on, sir.
So your words.
No, Daddy, that's really good because I did feel like I have a high resilience level because, and all my friends know this, in the workplace, I can tolerate a lot. And there's that thin line on what I would talk. Z knows, like there's no disrespect that I would tolerate, but I can tolerate hostile environments because you also taught us is not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. So when somebody came crazy at me, I had a way of responding, and I taught my friends that. I had a way of responding that would flip the situation to make them think, that they are great, until I had my plan of action in place on what's next for me. So I learned to survive environments through any circumstance because of all of these lessons you taught me. But then it became that fine line of respect, right? You're not going to yell at me. You're not going to disrespect me. You're not going to do things that I know my parents wouldn't be proud of that response. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a yeller a little to my kids. They're 2 and 4. I don't not yell. I have learned, though, I was just telling the sisters this, we were on a call yesterday. And I told them, I said, Daddy never yelled at us. And when I was going with Braxton and telling him, get that off the shelf, what are you doing? You know better. All I could think about was, I don't remember Daddy yelling. And is it because I don't remember what happened at 2 or 4, right? Now, I remember Mama, but I'm my mama's child. So that's why I yell. But I don't remember Dad yelling. And here's the thing. I started to call you to say, Dad, help me not to yell at them. And then I was like, no. What I am going to do, being that God brought to my revelation, my knowledge, my remembrance, that Dad was very patient and Dad validated us at even a young age. I'm going to continue to work on this instead of going from 0 to 10. Because Blakely opened my makeup and spread it all over the bathroom floor. And
Daddy would say that's not a child issue, that's a parent issue, because she wasn't
right. No, I did. I was like, well, why did I leave it there? And then I was like, no, I didn't leave it there. She climbed on top and she got it. And when I said, Blakely, are you washing your hands? And she said, yes, but no, she was taking my makeup and blah, blah, blah. So no, I'm not going to accept it. But I was livid because I just spent $38 on it. So I had to be like, do I yell? Naturally, I wanted to be like, I thought it was boo-boo because it was liquid and I'm a dark skin. So I was like, what is this? And then I saw it was makeup and I was like, oh, God, now you're wasting my money. Oh, God. So I and Amber would know, I would drop off Braxton and he wouldn't get out the car. When it was time to go to school, I would drop off, and be like, all right, kids, let's go. Braxton has his video games in the car and he wouldn't get out the car. Braxton, get out. He wouldn't move. Get out the car. And I can see the parents right beside me. And they're all like, come on, sweetie. They have all these sweet voices, but my kid is just, ugh. So I said, what are the things that I'm doing that can help the situation? Well, you can't take your video games in the car anymore before school because clearly you like to act a nut, right? And then when it comes to me being upset and wanting to yell, I take a deep breath first and I say, is this yelling worthy? Sometimes it is and sometimes it's not, right? So, I say all of that to say it's so many things to think about, Daddy, when I have to raise my kids because of the lessons you taught me. But I still am different. I think you have a different temperament. So you were able to handle things differently. So your advice has helped, but I had to figure out how I can do it versus how Charles Smith did it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But, your children will always either benefit from what you're saying for the good or for the bad. But you're in control. Like I said the other night, their minds are like the soil that the farmers plant on. It's rich. What you plant, the way you plant it, it doesn't matter what you plant, but they will return what you plant. So if you want to continue if you don't fix it, expect it. That's all we have to say, because it will come back. It's supposed to come back because you are planning it. So whatever you're planting, right? That's what's going to come. So
I don't have a green thumb.
But just like when I said to you, Chara, look at me when I'm talking. You said, thanks, Dad, and you left. Decision made because you didn't want to go back that way anymore, okay? So again, you're listening to my favorite 4 daughters, and we all want to say hey to my wife. But I want to go to Chara now. So again, these are lessons. What we're talking about is lessons that I remember teaching, but then I remember watching you perform that teaching, right? So, Chara, you remember? I think you were getting ready to run for Miss CDC or something, or even earlier, you were reading a book, and people used to say, "Well, Chara's grades was better." Right? And you were like, Dad, I've been studying. I still can't do this. Chara can do this and do that. And I remember saying, Chara, let me apologize, first of all, because Tara is just like her mom. They can read a book and get it in an instant. You took after your dad. I have to read that book 3, 4, 5, 6 times to get what they read it one time and get. And I remember saying to you, but it's not how many times you have to read the book to get the material, to get what's in it, but it's that you get it. So regardless of how long it takes, you do it. Fast forward, you started a program. I mean, I'm gonna show you why you're the person you are today, right? You started a program reaching out to little ones. Again, patient, and you had that heart just to care for people, right? And then I remember when you ran for Miss CDC, you won, in my opinion, because the instructors chose you. And we were talking about time management. And I say, this is the question that you need to tell them. I mean, the answer that you give them, because they're going to ask you what you're struggling with. And you said, and they just ate that up, right? And fast forward, you went on to Tougaloo. You wrote a program, a play scholarship for the average students because you were never like the smartest.
Okay, thank you.
But you, I mean, with the grades, right? But you went with your grades. I should have rephrased it. Your grades wasn't always that high. So, but you got it up there. You got them up there. But then what did you do? You wanted to write a program. I mean, a grant.
Who have struggled.
Who have struggled, but you overcame your struggles, and you graduated from Tougaloo
before me,
before your sister, and you did it with honor, right? That's a process. Now, fast forward, you're also working on. You got your 401c.
501c.
501c. 501c. Because you're still in the service business. You also wrote a book because it's ministering to people, right? But look where all of that started. So here's what I want to say to the parents.
Yeah.
You got to be there when it don't look good. You got to admit the fact that, hey, I wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer either. You got it honestly, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Your mom was smart. I mean, she can look at a book without opening it and know what's in the book. I don't know how she do that, right? But that's that. Power was able to do the same thing. And I remember you announcing to the teacher, you were so tired of it. But when class would start and you were in a teacher room that Tara had just left, you would say, my name is Chara, not Tara. I'm the other twin. I don't want to be compared to her. But the fact of the matter is, I didn't want to be up late that night talking. I mean, that went late in the morning, but it was worth it to see you go back and learn things that you had missed in elementary school, right? To then go ahead and graduate before Tara, even with honor. That, my friends, is what branding is all about. And once you put that brand on it, it is there. But if you don't put it there, somebody else is going to be branding your children. Make sense? So, yeah, you're talking to my favorite daughters, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. I want to go to DM now. I mean Amber now. So. But first, Chara, you remember? Let me get your opinion. You remember how you progressed through that?
Yeah, I think that you speaking over me my senior year was one of the things that I still again live by. You said when Tara got all these accolades, you pulled me in your office. It was literally graduation. It was literally graduation. And she got all of these honor awards. And even though you spoke over me during the high school that you can do it, you can do it. I still could never reach her level, but she was always in the AP classes, and then she got the awards. And so the after graduation, we got back to the house, and you pulled me in your office, and you said, "You are special," and you brought back the accolades that I had done in middle school and then in high school, and you said, "Whatever you do in life, you already started that way back when." A lot of things you basically prophesied over me at that moment, that I would go on and do great things, and that God will bless the work of my hands, that what I created back then will come to fruition in the future. So like that, to this day, I live by it.
Yeah. That's called branding, parents. If you want your children to leave home with something, then you have to pack the lunch bag and send it with them for the rest of their life. It just doesn't happen, right? Somebody has to make those things happen, right? So now let's go to the youngest, because it was, everybody was growing up, leaving the house, and the baby was still there, right? So, I mean, you remember when we used to stop at one service station and they didn't have the ices that we want, and then we would stop at another service station and they didn't have it. Then we would stop at another one.
Before you ate plants.
Huh?
This before you ate plants and grass and all that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We ate sugar.
Yeah, I was doing sugar back
Long
then.
time ago.
But we would find the one that we want, even if it meant stopping at 6 different service stations to get that particular persistency, not ever giving up on what we wanted, right? And fast forward, you mentioned the IB program. Now, the part that you left out was you were a little hesitant because you had heard it was so hard. Your friends at school, somebody was saying it was so hard. And I remember us sitting down and I said to you, Amber, just because it's hard for somebody else does not mean it's going to be hard for you. You are the most organized and one of the most smartest people at the school. Don't allow nobody else's decision to affect your decision. And you said, well, it's too late now, Dad, because it's closed. Never, ever say no. We worked it out, right? And then you got into the IB program. That was the best program ever because we even went to Jamaica together on that for the annual trip. Now, fast forward. You remember when you went to Millsap and you're the first one, you broke rank. Everybody else went to Tigaloo, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. So my girls, she broke rank and she went to Millsap. And you majored in what at Millsap?
Accounting.
Majored in accounting, right? Got a job with a major accounting firm in Mississippi, and what? Hated it.
Right? Hated it.
She got a master's in accounting as well.
That's right.
In accounting. How did she went and got a master's?
That's right. Got a master's in accounting. Right? And hated it. But what happened? Didn't stop there, right? Went on to become an educator. So my point, parents, that I'm making is you teach your children how to be persistent. Stopping at 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 service stations just to find the right ices that we wanted may sound silly, but what about the lesson that you're teaching? Don't stop until you get what you want. You remember those incidents?
Yes, and it's 2 things. So the first part about stopping at the gas stations were also that children spell love TIME, because for me at the time, it was just hopping in the car with dad, going to look. Oh, daddy, they don't have it. They don't have the Coke icy. We got to go to another. So we went to it. I mean, we would spend like an hour we drove all over Jackson just to find an icy. And just to know, you know, being a parent now and you work all day and you got laundry, you cooking and stuff, to be able to take the time to an hour to go get an ice, I'd be like, listen, Aiden, you gonna drink this icy that's at the store.
You gonna get the red one. You get the red one.
Get the red one. Get the blue one. It tastes good. But no, so that was, to me, that was like, okay, just spending that time to do something that we love to do. It was almost a tradition too. After games and stuff, to go and look for an icy. The other thing was, you're right. I did say it's too hard. I'm not gonna do it. And I have 3 kids, 8, 2, and 10 months. And yay, I got my baby. But one thing I teach the oldest, Aiden, because he would do his homework, and this really came about like during the pandemic, and you know, I'm seeing his homework too and seeing how hard it is, and he's in the gifted and talented program. And he started saying, it's too hard, it's hard, it's hard. And I said, nope, we do hard things. You can do it, you do hard things. And so now his thing is, you know, when he says it's hard and I say, what did you say? And he says, I can do it. I do hard things. And the other thing teaching him is that mistakes, one of our signs that's in his room and when he was working, is that mistakes are proof you're trying. And I think that was a life lesson too, just going through, you know, like even Chara said, we might not get into certain schools, or there were some things I didn't do well or didn't get into, but, you know, and I would make mistakes along the way. But now he knows the saying, which is not a saying that you said, but like you said, branding, like there were sayings that we had coming from our house. So that's one of our sayings in our house, is that it's okay to make mistakes, because he's a perfectionist like I am. And so having to learn that it's okay to make mistakes, because mistakes are proof that you're trying. So we're taking some of that branding and trying to put it in our kids so that they can be amazing, like me.
That is, you know, again, so if you're just joining us, these are my 4 favorite daughters. We're talking about lessons that we learned, and our time is almost up. So it has to be a part 2. But I want to say, I
was about to say that I need a part 2 for myself, because mine was the last one and they got all the other time.
That's because you took so long in your introduction.
Part 2, the baby.
Feeling everybody's intro.
I need to show people the Chara's fam and then Z's fam. So this is
okay, please. These are
fam.
Yes.
Look at that face.
Oh yeah, excited.
That's the makeup. She was in the makeup.
That's the oldest.
Yes.
Yes. Now, can you show just the grandchildren? You have that picture up with just the grand?
Oh wait.
Okay. That's the life right there, folks. That is the life. Now, okay. So one of the things that out of all the teaching, I wanted to share with my children that people are more important than things. A lot of times we value things more than we value people. But what you've heard today was, like Zatanya said, you don't treat your friends better. They are so close-knit now because they value each other and they respect each other. That just doesn't happen. You have to work on that taking place. So that's what we've been able to do. My mom had a brand. Now, it was simple. She simply said, with a 3rd grade education, she simply said, if you don't work, you gonna steal. So y'all gonna go to work. Everybody in my family now, all of my siblings, we will work 1, 2, 3 jobs because we were branded. We know that we have to work. Now, what we do with the money is a whole different story. Some of them may gamble it up, maybe do different things like that. But my point is, she taught us that, oh yeah, you're going to go to work and you're going to make something happen. The saying in our household was, there are two types of people in this world. There are leaders and there are followers. I can assure you, you're looking at 4 leaders now. And I am so proud of them. So thank you all for honoring me this Father's Day. This has been a joy. And I can't wait to do it again.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you, Daddy.
Appreciate
I think I need to do a podcast.
Oh my God. And that would be cool. It stems from the show. That's cool.
Oh, good.
All right, I'm getting ready to end the broadcast. We appreciate you. Go get the book, 7 Steps to Raising Amazing Children. We'll talk to you later. Thank you so much. Goodbye.